Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Usha Vyas. Today, my topic is Shaw's contribution. His comedy of purpose. No account of modern drama can be complete without a consideration of the contribution of Shaw. Shaw is a peculiar mixture of Ibsen and Wycherley. His aim is as serious, his analysis is as deep as that of any of the more serious dramatists. Yet he cloaks that seriousness of purpose with a gaiety and wit which has rarely been equalled in any time. We may call Shaw's plays comedies of purpose. They aim at being as laughable as Congreve's, as stinging as Johnson's, as profound as Ibsen's. There is no early comedy in English comparable to that of Shaw. He has brought to the English stage a type of drama entirely new, a type, however, which few could follow. Unquestionably, critics of 100 years hence will regard his plays as one of the most notable contributions to the theatre in our time. But it is probable that they will find only one or two other dramatists with whom to compare him. The comedy of purpose, if it is not to drift into mere sentimentalism, demands genius not only of a high but also of a peculiar kind. Now, the next point is original concept of characterization. From the literary point of view, Shaw's drama means a great deal to the English theatre. Not only has he brought to the drama a new incisiveness of utterance and given what is virtually a new dramatic dialogue, but has also provided a fresh principle of characterization. So says a critic or Nickel. The characters in the romantic plays were not so much stereotyped as framed on a false pattern. Shaw has shown man how to draw characters arrestingly and freshly dramatic. Instead of timid heroines, we find intellectually daring women. Instead of strong heroes, men lacking power and self will. Instead of fantastically model clergymen, ministers who feel more at ease in buff coat and jack boots. Instead of impossible villains, men who are themselves the tools of society, says a critic Nickel. Now, the next point is imparted literary qualities to the drama. Even beyond this, the debt of the modern drama to him is great. He has shown new methods of using fantasy and reality. He has been constantly experimenting in fresh dramatic devices. Above all, he has made the drama more than ever before literature. Without taking away even a bit from theatrical quality of his work, he has added to stage direction and to preface such additional matter that even in our easy chair study, his work shape take before us. Seeing the rivalry of the novel, he has dared to step into the enemy's camp and take from him some of his most jealously guarded devices. It is not only that he gives us more details than are commonly given concerning the settings of his plays, he goes into the past history of his characters as well. Thus, the opening of Man and Superman, we are treated in a full-length picture of Roebuck Ramsden, seated in his study. Chairs and tables, neckties and waistcoats are described, and then follows an account of his age and his antecedents. In this way, as his characters visualized down to the roots. In Arms and the Man, also the past of the principal characters have been given in this way. Next point in this increased the popularity of the drama. It is unquestionably questionable that this device is added to the popularity of the drama. After a few years of hesitancy in the publishing of plays, the newer writers sought for a double public without ignoring the theatre, as the poets of the past has done. They made an appeal also to the many readers of novels and of poetry. The stage direction and the prefaces alike were penned for this purpose. As a consequence, the drama as a whole became more and more a part of literature. Thus re-establishing the literary drama, the modern writers were striking away from trivial and vain romantic theatre of preceding decades, and the work over tremendous debt to the activity and boldness of Shaw, whose plays Pleasant and Unpleasant 1898 and Plays for Puritan 1900 fully established the drama alongside of the novel as a popular literary form, says critic Nickel. Now the last is the conclusion of this. Shaw's sense of stagecraft. One thing which a study of Shavian stage direction teaches us that Shaw is a consummate dramatist. Clearly, a technical device of this kind is apt to make play untheatrical because the author wills to express his meaning through words because more direct method of explaining his purpose. It has been said by many that Shaw was not a born dramatist. He merely seized on theatre because it gave him a platform from where he could preach his sermons. His plays are little more illustration of his prefaces. This view is almost certain, but must be rejected by a few historians of the drama. No writer of our time has shown such a vivid and appreciative sense of theatre as Shaw, and it's because of theatrical qualities that his plays will survive. Finally, we can say that his philosophy may be smiled at a century hence and his problems may seem then problems no more, but his dramas, at least half a dozen of them, must retain their appeal because of the way in which he made use of effects which are theatrically striking and because of the inactive beauty of his dialogue, says Nickel. Essentially, Shaw is a playwright and not a philosopher. Thanks. This is all for today. Thanks again for watching.